Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I wanted to share with you something that I made yesterday for a journal I'm currently working on. It's what I call a faux envelope journaling spot, and this is the one I made yesterday for the journal. And if I open it up for you, it's just closed with some linen, French linen thread around one of the little press stud flowers that there we go, one of the press stud flowers that I make. And if I open it up, it's just an open envelope. Here's the journaling card that I made to go inside it, which is just a library catalogue card that I've decoupaged on the front and layered up on the back. And then I've just layered up inside with some coffee stained paper, and I've just stitched and inked it all the way round. And this whole thing would be the journaling spot, and then that's the reverse. So if I close it back up again like so, on the back I've done some more layering and created a pocket, and these these are the three additional ones that I made. I got a little bit carried away, but I wanted to show you slight variations on a theme so that you have some ideas of how to use these in your journals. As I say, these are by no means a new idea. There are loads of videos out there showing where someone has turned an envelope into a journaling spot for inside a journal, whether it's been a store-bought envelope that's been opened up or one that's been made from scratch, perhaps using an envelope board, and then they might have put in a single piece of tea or coffee stained paper inside to act as the journaling spot, or they might perhaps have even put a wodge of that paper inside to create a small notebook, so that when you open the envelope up you can journal inside. And you can very much do exactly the same with these. I just chose to line this one. So most definitely not a new idea or concept, but what I wanted to share is the envelope itself and how I made it. Now, not everybody has an envelope board. Well, you won't need one for this, and not everybody likes to measure, and you don't have to measure with this. And I do realise that there's another way out there to make an envelope without measuring, and that's to take a store-bought one and just open it up and use that as a template. That's absolutely fine, you can do that, but with this way, this method, you can customize your envelope so that it will fit any insert. So for example, this little tag here, I could use this method to create an envelope that will fit that little tag perfectly. It would also fit this journaling card that I've made using again another one of these library catalogue cards. So whatever you want to put inside, if you wanted to put something inside and not just have it as a journaling spot, you could use this method. So let me get started. I'll pop these to one side and we'll come back to those in a moment. And let's say I'll use that. So all you will need is a piece of paper that is, this is an A4 piece of paper that is at least 3 times the height of whatever you want to put inside your envelope, or the height of your envelope if you're not putting anything inside, you just want it as a journaling spot. So your piece of paper needs to be at least 3 times that height, and width wise it just needs to be slightly wider. Oh, excuse me, slightly wider. So if you roughly gauge about the width of your card or your envelope plus say about 1 inch. Now all you need to do is you take your piece of paper, you put your card on the bottom and you fold it up so that you have your card hidden inside. and do a crease. And then all you do is you take your bottom, still with your card inside, and fold it again and make a crease. Okay, so I'm going to flip it over. Now if I lift this piece up, your piece of card is tucked away inside, and this bit is this bit of your envelope, so it's your flap. So what you do now is you just decide how deep down the envelope you want your flap to be. Now I usually work on a basis of about 3/4 of the width of my envelope. That's just my preference, but you can do it any distance down. And all you do is just make another crease and chop this bit off. So I'm just going to do that. Bring in my very worn and trusty Fiskars guillotine and chop that piece off. Pop that to one side, and that is the start of your envelope. Okay, so all I'm going to do now is I'm going to eyeball very roughly about 1 inch from one side, and whoops a daisy, my piece of card is moving, and then just fold it up to my piece of card like so. What I'm going to do on the other side is just move my card slightly out of the fold here, probably by 2 millimeters, if that, and that's just to give a little bit of wriggle room. And then on the other side I'm going to do another fold like so. Now as you can see, you've got one huge amount of paper on this side and the right side on that side. So all I do now is again eyeball about 1 inch and chop it off. Now if you are running shy of paper for your width, don't worry, these pieces, these portions here can be smaller, and as you can see I've not quite got that right. I eyeballed 1 inch and it's not good enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to flip it over, oops a daisy, and just trim a little bit more off that side. Okay, so what we have here is our folds in place and the basis of our envelope. Super easy. Now as you can see here, I hope if I can get that up to the camera, there we go. As you can see here, there is a slight indent, so my top flap is slightly inside the line of this fold here. Now the same has happened on this one, and I'm not particularly bothered about that, but if you are, what you can do is slightly adjust that fold so that it isn't like that and fold it down. Okay, so what you do now is take out your piece of card, and where you have your fold line across there and across here, you chop off those portions. So if I open it out, you would be cutting along your crease there and down your crease there, and the same on the other side, along there, cut off, and along there. So you're removing the whole of this portion and the whole of that portion. Okay, and you are doing exactly the same at the top. So you are removing that portion and that portion. and that will give you something that looks like that. So if I just put it back, you can see that I've chopped out this portion here and this portion here, and the same at the top. Okay. Now when you fold your bottom flap up, you will get a nicer finish if you just take out a small wedge on this flap here. So if you remember, what we've done is we've cut out this portion and we've cut a straight line across there, and all I'm asking you to do now is to just trim that portion away. Okay, so if I just get a pair of scissors, I can show you. So we've cut off this portion here. This won't be very straight because I'm using the wrong scissors. And all we're doing now is just cutting off that portion. And it only needs to be a little portion. You don't need to cut off much. It's just so that you get a nice crisp fold when you fold that back up. Okay. So as you can see, I've done it on both these flaps, and that's my bottom one going into place. Now I'm just going to put my card back, and as you can see, I've just made this one slightly bigger than my card. Now the next thing you do is, with your top flap open, just rotate it slightly and take this top corner and fold it just above this crease here, so that it looks like that. Okay, and then you cut that piece off. Just cut along that crease line like that. Now you have options here. What you can do, if you don't want your envelope to look like that, you can leave that piece in place and do it on this side and create your fold. There we go. So that your envelope looks like that. And if you look at that envelope, you'll see that that's exactly what I've done. The other option is that you fold on both sides so that your envelope looks like that. And that is your basic envelope. It couldn't be easier. Now, if you don't want your envelope to open up, then all you need to do is put some glue on this flap and glue on this flap, close the bottom flap up, and you have a proper envelope. But for the sake of the journaling spots, we leave it all open. Okay, so that's your basic envelope, and if I bring these back in, you can see the slight variations on a theme. So as I said, with this one, all I did was I cut out my envelope, or created my envelope, using botanical paper. I then, once I'd cut it out, I then traced it onto tea stained paper and cut that out, glued the two together and stitched round the outside, inked round the outside, to create the whole inside of the envelope as a journaling spot. I put on one of these tiny little press stud flowers by punching a hole on this side and threading it through and snapping it shut on that side, and this now is my closure. And I'll put the link for how to make these little press stud flowers down below. Super easy, just a different way to close the envelope up. On the back, I just cut a piece of paper that was smaller than the size of the back of my envelope, collaged it, stitched it, and then glued it in place. Now there's nothing to stop you actually stitching it to your botanical paper before you put your tea stained paper inside and creating your journal spot that way. For this one, I use some designer cardstock and put on the back just some thick vellum with a little bit of collaging. I've actually stitched this one in place when I stitched my envelope, and I don't know what these closures are called. I tend to think of them as salary envelope closures or wage envelope closures, where you just use a brad and a couple of pieces of together. And I twine and open it up. You can see that I've not lined the inside of this envelope. It's single thickness of just the paper on its own, and I've hidden my brads from these closures just by putting a circle of cardstock inside. Now in here I will probably put in a single sheet of tea stain paper so that it can be a journaling spot. Okay, so that's that one idea for you. I've just collaged a couple of little features on the front, some vintage book pages, a fussy cut bird, and some vintage stamps just to add a little bit of interest, and as I say, stitched and inked all the way round. So that's another example. This one, as I say, I made the fold on the flap the other way, trimmed it with some lace, and I've hidden a magnet, so I have a magnet closure on this one. On the back I've just done some simple layering, and I've stitched round it, and I've used this to hide my one of my magnets. The other one is hidden and the button here. And then when I open it up, this one is paper, and all I've done here is create a pocket inside, which gives you another option. So there you go, another little pocket there. Another option, you don't have to do your pocket on the back, you can do it inside. So that's another option. And where's my last one? Oh, here we go, right in front of me. This is the, with this one I've used this gorgeous mother of pearl, vintage mother of pearl button. Again, some more French twine or French linen. Open it up. My magnet is hidden behind, not my magnet, my decoration is right, let's get my words out properly. There's no magnet on this one, but when I stitched my button on, I put it on with a brad, and the prongs of the brad are hidden by that label. And when I open it up inside, this is the journaling card I made to go inside this journaling spot, and I made it from an old computer card. But with this one I've just used the sticker inside just to add a little bit of interest. And again, just wrap round with some twine, and at the end of my twine all I've done is I've done a little heart of some vintage script just to add a bit of interest, and it's plain on the back. Now with these when I made the first one, my intention was to tuck it in a pocket in the journal. You can make these as floating journaling spots by paper clipping them inside your journal, or what you could do is actually glue the back there and just have a piece of thread coming out from the back and do it that way. So there's quite a few options that you can use for these little journaling spots. Thank you so much everybody for bearing with me. I hope you like this idea and will give it a try, especially if you have in mind to make some customized envelopes or journaling spots. So thank you so much for joining me everybody. Take care. Bye bye now.